If you want to hang out with me for a little bit, that'd be great. I'm just actually going through some tunes. There was some things that I had put on my list for the Christmas concert which didn't make it into the concert. I'm going to go through a few of those things, kind of walk you through how I tend to practice a tune. And if you have any questions, you can just throw them up in the chat area. It's great if you're got a few minutes to hang out with me. We're going to stream for about an hour. It's just a practice session for me, so don't expect a concert performance. But anyway, this is mostly how I approach practice these days. I mean, I used to do a lot of scales and things and work out bebop lines and all that kind of stuff and lift other people's solos and shed those solos. But these days, it's more about just playing tunes. So I pick a tune, and the first thing I try to do with that tune is just remember first the melody, and then I'm trying to remember the chords. So matching the melody with the chords, making sure that it sounds good to my ears, but also reflects the original composition. So for a tune like the Christmas Waltz, which is what I started playing a minute ago, it's a melody that sounds simple, but it's actually quite difficult to figure out because the melody jumps around a lot. For example, it's actually a whole octave. Now, a lot of people might play it differently, but it's really an entire octave. So trying to figure out and place that melody properly is probably, for me, pretty important. the Christmas waltz. I mean, you could tell there was a couple of times when I'm going through the melody. It's probably one of those tunes where you should just play the melody by itself. Because again, it's not an easy melody to do, and so you get into the middle of the tune and your fingers don't remember where the melody is, and then you end up sort of flubbing the melody like this. Instead, it should be this. So again, I think it's really important to kind of...
Is your mic on? Or your batteries dead?
Oh, the batteries are dead.
So just say the batteries are dead.
Sorry, batteries are dead. I have to go get some. Can you get me some out of my closet in the bottom? There's some there. Sorry, I just need to change some batteries up here. Find them? Sorry, you can hear me from the piano recording mics, but I need to change these batteries because obviously they didn't last very long. They were brand new the other day. Do you find any yet?
Yeah, but I'm not coming into the scene, so you have to come get them.
Okay. Okay, that's better. I had to change the batteries out. So what I was saying before, I think it's important to kind of play the melody by itself because it is a tricky melody. And then maybe start playing a few chords with the right hand just to kind of see how the melody fits with those chord voicings. Okay. Let's do, one thing I didn't play at Christmas was something called Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, which is a really fun tune to reharmonize. So when you're reharmonizing a tune, especially if you haven't looked at it before, it might be a good idea to kind of do it in like C, because C is like the basis for all sort of thought processes, because if you consider C to be 1, then it's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and of course 2, 5, 1s in C are D, G, C. It's kind of easier to think about the changes in keys during the tune if you start in C. So that's what we're going to do. Not sure why I'm coughing. The interesting thing about the end part there, so what I'm trying to do, especially with lines that fall or rise with a scale, for example, and then it's going down the scale. Things like that, I like to play block chords in some fashion, and in that particular case, I played chordals like this. To me, it looks like the keyboard is a little bit out of focus. Let me get that back in. So there we go. I hope that fixes that. Some things I just don't notice first go around. But anyway, so again, as I was saying, like block chords when you're going up scales. One way to practice that is to kind of figure out a chordal voicing and then just follow the scale down the entire way. So for example, right. That's interesting because you've got force in the lower part. So you really only have 4 notes. Melody note, just go down a third and then just play force like that. So the right hand is playing like a second inversion of a C chord. So for example, C major, first inversion, second inversion. So in there is force. Just go down a fourth from that last note and follow the same chords through the entire process. All right, let's stick with ballads for a moment. As I was saying before, figure out the melody to specific songs. Now here, this is a song that I used to do in church, and I wrote it. I didn't play it the other night, so I'm going to play it now, but it's basically Angels We Have Heard on High. So figuring out melody, simple chords, and then get more progressive as the tune goes on. typically what happens is you play a tune through and it just sort of fits into a groove. So it's kind of like one, two, three, four, kind of rocking motion. So sometimes when you try to change keys, you kind of get into a situation where you change too quickly with one of the hands. So I'm trying to get from the key of F to the key of G in kind of a neat way, but I hit a B natural too soon and it clashed with the chords that came before it. I just switched tunes. I went from Angels We Have Heard on High to Hark the Herald Angels Sing. They both have angels in them and they both sound very similar. So let me fix that. Good idea to do that once in a while, just kind of switch keys to feel your way through it, kind of use a bit of ear training to figure out the chords, make it sound like the key you're more familiar with, but then find new ways of playing in that key is interesting. So you can see that the tune sounds very different in the key of G major to the key of F. And there's different ways of playing chords with each of those keys. For example, the chord voicings that you use in G tend to be quite different than those used in F. because you have different overtones and the ear can pick up on things that sort of work a little bit better. Plus you've got muscle memory for certain keys as well. So again, the transition from F to G, it's pretty common to go up a whole step when you're coming to the end of a tune and you want to make a bigger impact, just kind of modulate up a whole tone. And yeah, that's how that works. So one of the things that I wasn't that familiar with the other night was Silent Night, and I know I'm sticking a lot to ballads because I'm just practicing, and it's better for your practice session to play ballads for a couple of reasons. First reason is they tend to have more chords, so that means you make your way through different progressions and different key signatures within the same tune. Plus also, you can slow things down so that you can feel your way through it. So when playing a tune like Silent Night, you can start by trying to find inner voices, which I think you'll notice that I'll put a couple of inner voices in there, but trying to find your way through the tune slowly is a lot easier than doing it up tempo. So that's kind of why we're sticking to ballads for this particular practice session. So there's a situation where even pros make literally mistakes. I couldn't remember in my head where it actually goes, so it's one of those things where you kind of have to go and redo it, kind of hear where things progress. yeah, just trying to find different sort of cadences, pulling from sort of roots, church background, things like that, but also keeping jazz flavor going. A couple of you just joined us, Ed and Ian, thanks for being here. I'm just practicing right up until 1 o'clock, so we got about another 15 minutes. I'm going to switch gears here a little bit, and I played something the other night, which is Sleigh Ride, and I did it like the Leroy Anderson version, and then I thought, well, I was in my bed the other night, it's like, well, what if I just played the whole thing like swing, but tried to keep the Leroy Anderson version in my head? In other words, the form of the tune and the flavor of the tune, but slow the whole thing down and kind of play it like as a medium, sort of up-tempo, medium up swing. So I'm going to try that. I have no idea whether it's actually going to work or not, but we'll give it a shot, and we'll maybe stop a couple of times to kind of show you what's in my head anyway. Right, so there, I got so into the swing that I missed the transition to the second bridge. There's actually 2 bridges in this tune. Let me do that again. Yeah, so there's a situation where it sounds like it wants to go into this walking bass line, but figuring out a bass line that actually works with that melody is going to be a bit of a challenge. So let's see if we can work something out here. Yeah, so the thought there is play shots with the left hand rather than just kind of trying to play the melody. Play something that accentuates the way the melody goes with shots. And the shots come in between the notes. So you finish a phrase, left hand plays. Right, so we're getting there. The thing is about this tune is if you stray too far from the melody, it's okay to do that. Just make sure that you're remembering where you are in the tune. So that if you just play solo over that section and jam a little bit and you play some lines, just make sure that at some point you requote the melody like this. You know, that's kind of how my brain works. Okay, let's see if we can make it through the tune. I like that speed. It's definitely slower than the Leroy Anderson version, which kind of burns like this. We're not going to do that. We're going to play it like swing the entire time and try to keep the Leroy Anderson arrangement as we do it. I think no matter where you finish in that ending, it's like your B7 sharp 11 chord. Yeah, more or less. And then you're playing whole tone scales. And you can kind of make it sound like a horse. You know, just find little patterns to play. But no matter where you end up, just keep it going until it feels like it should end. Some phrases can go longer than others. Anyway, that's my practice session for today. Ian, Ed, New in Jazz, thank you for sharing. Ed, in time to invest in a boom stand for your mic. I actually have several, but they're all in use. So I need to actually buy another one. I look around me, I see 3 of them. So. And they're all in play. So I wish I had an extra one to put this mic on, but when we did the Christmas concert the other night, this was for a reason. So anyway, I will get a boom stand happening for this soon. If you were hanging out with me for a lot of this hour, thank you so much for doing that. I'm going to end the stream here. Again, any questions or comments, just put them in the chat. And if you want to share this practice video with anybody, go ahead and share it with whoever you like. I don't mind, as long as we learn something. Musically speaking, my name is Paul Tobey. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time at our next practice session.